All right, good evening, everyone. This is John Tapp with this is your birthday boy, John Tapp with the International LT. That so I got my next one today. So uh, so I would like to thank you guys so much for those who is on Facebook so much for the wishes. So
Time to hit the road.
so this has uh, the S13 engine and a T14 transmission, and I hope you guys, um, including my co-workers out there, um, can join me again tomorrow, and and so let's go as a short ride. Um, let's go to the ones across the street, and let's get moving.
Turn left. Get ready to turn right. Turn right. Here we are, safe and sound. Ready to roll. Okay, let's find a new route. Turn right. Turn right. Keep left, and then turn left. Turn left.
service of the University of Houston at 6:01.
Live from NPR News in Washington, I'm Jack Spear. House lawmakers have rejected a government stopgap spending bill to keep the government funded past midnight tomorrow. Republicans abandoned a bipartisan deal and crafted a revised measure after criticism from entrepreneur Elon Musk and President-elect Donald Trump. House Speaker Mike Johnson, even as the latest bill was failing on the floor with dozens of Republican no votes, said what's being called Plan B should move forward.
The lawmaking is done. It's a long process. Sometimes it takes a while to reach consensus, but we're going to do the right thing here tonight. The American Relief Act of 2024 will provide temporary funding to get us into the first part of next year. We're excited about that because Republicans will have control of the White House and the Senate and the House.
Short-term funding bill designed to fund the government for 3 more months while including disaster assistance and allow more borrowing through January of 2027. The White House blasted the spending proposal as, quote, a giveaway for billionaires, saying President Biden supports the earlier bipartisan deal. Although the Syrian regime has fallen, there is still fighting in some parts of that country after a ceasefire broke down yesterday. In the northeast, Turkish-backed Syrian fighters have been pushing back U.S. allied Kurdish-led fighters. Yours, Jana Raff, filed this report from the southeast city of Manbij during a lull in the fighting.
I'm standing near the Euphrates River, and where we are is one of the fault lines in this new Syria. The U.S. has mediated a truce between Kurdish-led forces on one side and the Syrian fighters backed by Turkey on this side who helped bring down the regime. One of the big challenges here is solving this conflict within a conflict that's raged for years. Jana Raff, NPR News, in northeastern Syria.
Thousands of Amazon drivers are picking it at multiple facilities across the country amid the holiday shopping rush. Marlon Hyde of member station WABE reports from Atlanta, where delivery workers are organizing for higher pay, improved working conditions, and better health care.
Who are we? Teamsters!
Dozens of drivers waved signs outside the DGT8 delivery station in Alpharetta, Georgia, in a strike launched by the Teamsters Union. The union says it represents about 10,000 Amazon drivers. Amazon accuses the Teamsters of, quote, misleading the public and coercing employees to join them. Amazon driver Andrew Jacobs says they are overworked and do not receive holiday pay.
A lot of people that you see here today, they're just fighting for the right to be treated equally or the same as the actual Amazon workers in the warehouse.
Amazon says in a statement that these protests historically have not impacted its operation. For NPR News, I'm Marlon Hyde in Atlanta.
Stock stabilized a bit after yesterday's major sell-off prompted by concerns about the future of Federal Reserve interest rate cuts in the coming year. The Dow closed up 15 points. The Nasdaq was down 19 points. The S&P fell 5 points. This is NPR.
Live from News 88.7 in Houston, I'm Gail DeLauder. Houston City Council's Ethics Committee has now canceled its 3rd meeting in a row. News 88.7's Dominic Anthony Walsh tells us that despite a big flare-up between the mayor and the city's chief financial officer.
In October, Mayor John Whitmire accused Controller Chris Hollins of engaging in pay-to-play because he sought donations to a nonprofit ahead of an investors conference. Hollins pointed out Whitmire's events have used a similar fundraising strategy. Ethics Committee co-chair Twyla Carter says the committee is looking at the city's ethics rules, but they're waiting on Whitmire.
We're really waiting on next steps internally as far as the mayor's office, and we don't want to get in the middle of anything that they're doing and are in the way, but we certainly will address it.
The mayor's office did not respond to questions about a timeline for the changes. I'm Dominic Anthony Walsh, News 88.7.
It'll be mostly clear tonight. We're expecting a low around 48 degrees. I'm Gail DeLauder, News 88.7.
My name is Josh Adams. This is Houston Public Media. The news headlines that you just heard with Gail, and everything that you hear on All Things Considered is possible only because listeners make donations to keep it going. This is it. We've got 55 minutes left in our very short year-end winter fundraiser. We'll know how successful we are coming up at 7 p.m. Please give at HoustonPublicMedia.org/donate or call us 888-909-0887. I am here tonight with Chloe Barcelona.
Give back to an organization that benefits the entire community. Please make your tax-deductible gift now to HoustonPublicMedia.org/donate or call 888-909-0887. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it, and we're getting there. Thank you, guys.
Support for NPR comes from NPR stations. Other contributors include the estate of Joan B. Kroc, whose bequest serves as an enduring investment in the future of public radio and seeks to help NPR be the model for high-quality journalism in the 21st century. This is NPR.
And on the roads, our newest wreck is reported on the West Sam northbound direction of Richmond, and still have all lanes eastbound I-10 Katy Freeway shut down at Highway 6 for an accident investigation. 62 degrees right down here at the UH campus at 6:06.
This is All Things Considered from NPR News. I'm Elsa Chang in Culver City, California. The top leaders in Congress thought they had a deal to prevent a government shutdown from taking effect just days before Christmas, but that was before President-elect Donald Trump and his close advisor Elon Musk blew up the deal. Republicans spent the entire day trying to craft a solution, and now they are one step closer to a possible government shutdown. And their hopes for a Plan B failed in a vote on the House floor. Joining us now to talk through the chaos is NPR congressional correspondent Barbara Sprun. Hi, Barbara.
Hey, Elsa.
Okay, surprise, surprise. The House just voted on a bill that was supposed to be a solution to this mess, but clearly it was not. What happened?
It was not. So late this afternoon, House Republicans released a new bill that would fund the government through mid-March and provide disaster relief and money for farmers. Now, those are all elements that were included in the bipartisan bill released earlier this week. But that bill was much larger in size and scope and included a bunch of other provisions that Republicans were frustrated about. This new bill, which Trump said he supports, would also extend the debt limit until the end of January 2027. It's something that Trump demanded yesterday. And that means essentially the Treasury Department would be able to keep making payments on debt obligations for 2 years without having to ask Congress for new authority. But Democrats were never on board. This bill removed major priorities for them, including health care provisions. And some Republicans, like Chip Roy, a conservative member from Texas, don't like it either because lawmakers had an hour and a half to read it before they voted, and it violates a traditional Republican principle of curbing spending. Here's Roy on the House floor.
To take this bill yesterday and congratulate yourself because it's shorter in pages but increases the debt by $5 trillion is asinine.
So now they're back to the drawing board after losing an entire day to these talks.
I mean, it feels like Groundhog Day. Another late day in December, another threat of a government shutdown. How did we get here again?
You know, even though a lot of congressional Republicans didn't like that initial bill earlier this week, there was a moment where it seemed like it could get enough votes to pass. But then Trump advisor, billionaire Elon Musk, launched this pressure campaign against the bill. And by the end of the day yesterday, Trump gave the bill the kiss of death. He even threatened to find primary challengers for any Republican member of Congress who wouldn't follow his demands. And Democrats are raising alarm bells about that dynamic. Here's Richard Neal of Massachusetts.
We came to modest achievements, and a tweet changed all of it? Can you imagine what the next 2 years are going to be like if every time the Congress works its will and then there's a tweet?
Well, one thing that is new here is the role of Elon Musk, Trump's advisor, right?
Absolutely. It's really notable how much power and influence he's already wielding here. An unelected billionaire, in fact, the richest man in the world, with the ear of the president-elect, he trashed the bill, spread false information about what was in it. He personally thanked members of Congress who said they wouldn't support that initial bill. That's a lot of involvement. It's a lot of power. And Democrats are seizing onto this, referring to him as President Musk, so clearly trying to get under Trump's skin.
That is NPR's Barbara Sprun. Thank you so much, Barbara.
Thank you, Elsa.
Less than a week before Christmas, this was the scene outside some Amazon warehouses and delivery hubs today.
Who are we? And what do we want? Justice! And what do we want now?
The Teamsters Union called strikes at 7 Amazon facilities today in California, Illinois, New York, and Georgia. The union is demanding that Amazon sit down and bargain a contract with some 10,000 of its members. And a note that Amazon is among NPR's recent financial supporters, but we cover it like any other company. NPR NPR labor correspondent Andrea Hsu joins us now. Hi, Andrea.
Hi, Elsa.
Okay, so who are these workers? Like, what are their jobs, and what are they asking Amazon for?
Well, it's a mix. Some of them are direct employees of Amazon. They do warehouse jobs, but a lot of them are drivers who work for third-party companies. They're the ones who drive those kind of bluish-gray vans that you've probably seen in your neighborhood.
Oh, yeah.
And one of our member station reporters went out to the Amazon hub in Alpharetta, Georgia. He talked with one of those drivers, Gregory Dunn. Here's what he said workers want.
Better wages, better benefits, better working conditions, more PTO.
That covers it. Okay, so how big a crowd was it in Georgia?
Pretty small, actually. Probably a couple dozen people altogether.
Wow.
They were on the side of the facility. They weren't blocking any gates, so trucks and vans were still driving in and out. Gregory Dunn had said he'd try to go over and get more drivers to join the picket line. But, despite the modest turnout, he seemed pretty pumped to be out there. Here's what he said.
I may look like the needle in the haystack, but we all fighting for the same thing, man. I'm fighting for them, fighting for all my brothers and sisters out here. They may not see the vision now, but they will see the vision soon.
And Elsa, educating other drivers, other workers seemed to be a theme at a lot of these pickets. East of LA, where there was a larger crowd, picketers were actually stopping drivers at the entrances so they could go talk to them about the union and about collective bargaining before they let them go on their way. But by all accounts, it seemed the facilities were operating, and Amazon is saying they don't expect any impact to customers' orders.
Interesting. Okay, so what has Amazon said in response to today's strikes and these demands?
Well, Amazon has called this a PR play on the part of the Teamsters. The company has disputed that the Teamsters even represents these thousands of workers. And part of the issue is those third-party drivers. Amazon says they're not company employees, but this has been a subject of litigation. The Teamsters and federal labor officials have argued that even though these drivers are not direct employees of Amazon, they only work for Amazon. Amazon controls their wages and their working conditions. So the Teamsters' position is, under federal law, Amazon is what's called a joint employer. And this is why the Teamsters are saying Amazon needs to come to the table. But Amazon is fighting this in court.
Okay. Well, in the meantime, for all of us getting ready for Christmas, is this strike over? Is it going to continue tomorrow? What's going on?
Well, the Teamsters say that at some locations, the pickets are going to go on all night. Others will take a break and come back in the morning. Beyond that, we don't really know. All the Teamsters have told us is that the strikes would last longer than one day. But the union does clearly recognize that, this is a moment of leverage for workers because lots of people are still hoping to get those last-minute gifts.
Oh, yeah.
I will note that the union has promised to give striking workers what's known as strike pay at a rate of $1,000 a week. It's sort of a replacement income. And for some, that could be comparable to their pay. So some workers may be willing to stick it out a little longer to try to recruit more workers to their cause, but clearly a lot of workers chose not to join the picket lines even for a day.
That is NPR's Andrea Hsu. Thank you, Andrea.
You're welcome.
Everything you hear on Houston Public Media is directly connected to listener donations. Look, we don't have a lot of time left in this short winter fundraiser. Please contribute to this mission of reliable news for everyone in Greater Houston. And we need to raise this money for the stories you'll need as we head on into 2025. Please give at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate or call 888-909-0887. Good evening. My name is Josh Adams. I am here on the air with Miss Chloe Barcelona.
If you've already given, thank you so much. If you haven't, think about giving for someone else this holiday. We have many listeners who don't have the means to donate. You could give for them. Please support quality news at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate, or you can go ahead and call 888-909-0887.
At this station, we are focused on starting 2025 strong because there will be a lot of news to cover. There are going to be big events that are playing out all over the world, and we want to bring that to you. As you think about your end-of-year giving, consider how much Houston Public Media is worth to you each month. And then just sign up to donate that amount each month by credit card. You can also transfer it from your bank if a transfer is easier for you. That monthly donation, it's really the best way to give. You can set up a monthly donation by going to houstonpublicmedia.org/donate. You can also become a monthly donor and calling us at 888-909-0887.
Or make a one-time gift. One-time gift gifts are another popular way to support the station, especially during the holidays. Every dollar helps, especially now as we try to shorten our fundraisers in the future. Please make your gift at HoustonPublicMedia.org/donate or call 888-909-0887.
And if you're asking, the answer is yes. You still have time to give. We've got just 44 minutes left in this year-end campaign. So your gift right now, it's going to motivate others to give. So help us finish strong with your gift. Go to HoustonPublicMedia.org/donate or call us 888-909-0887.
Imagine the difference your gift can make in our community. By donating in the next 44 minutes, you're ensuring that we can continue to provide critical news and go forth and prosper. We are very here for emergencies to help you find out what's going on. Your donation ensures that we can continue to hold those in power accountable and keep our community well informed. It all comes back to you, and whether you'll take action right now to support the news station you rely on, it only takes a few minutes to give at HoustonPublicMedia.org/donate or call 888-909-0887.
We're always working to serve you in bigger ways, better ways, so we're increasing our local news coverage next year with the launch of Hello Houston. I'm very excited about this. It's a daily 2-hour show about the top local stories that are happening each day. You're going to hear fun, engaging guests. We're going to bring innovating and new ways to engage with you, and we're going to be providing news as well. Please make your year-end gift now to support Hello Houston, our new show, and other future endeavors. HoustonPublicMedia.org/donate or call 888-909-0887.
Remember, you can have trees planted in our community with your gift to Houston Public Media today. Give generously and find out more at HoustonPublicMedia.org/donate or call 888-909-0887.
That's right, Chloe, just 43 minutes to give during our campaign. We're working on accelerating this timeline. If we're successful, we might be able to keep shortening our campaigns well into next year. So let's be efficient in raising this money. Your gift right now, it's going to do its part. It's going to be a big help. Please give. HoustonPublicMedia.org/donate. It's easy to make a donation there, or you can call us 888-909-0887. I want to thank you for supporting this great station.
61 Fahrenheit, 16 Celsius right now here at the UH campus. I'm Big Pittman, back out onto the roads. We've got a couple of complete closures right now. One of them heading into eastbound I-10, the Katy Freeway. Everything is shut down for the investigation into an earlier wreck at Highway 6. You're going to be backed up almost to 99 at Grand Parkway right now. And westbound 225 heading in on the LaPorte Freeway. Schaefer, wreck has you down to one left lane, backed up to Tidal. On the West Sam, that earlier wreck northbound at Richmond appears to be history, but not so much the case with the one on the Northwest Freeway heading in eastbound 290 at Mushki. A couple of center lanes blocked there.
Support comes from Specs Wine, Spirits, and Finer Foods. Texas family-owned and operated since 1962, offering a large selection of wines, spirits, and beers to choose from. Details at specsonline.com. The fun starts here.
Support also comes from members like you and from Uptown Appliance Repair, now open and ready to service Houston's residential and commercial appliance needs while staying committed to the health and safety of the community. More information at uptownappliancerepair.com. From Co-Housing Houston, a neighborhood of private homes with community just outside the doorstep. For individuals and families of all generations that share the values of connection and sustainability. Open house information at cohousinghouston.com. And from the Grand 1894 Opera House, presenting Marvelous, an evening with Marilyn May, singer who has been entertaining audiences over 8 decades. Saturday, January 4th at 8 in the evening. More information at thegrand.com.
During the 2024 presidential presidential campaign, Donald Trump made a lot of promises about what he would do on his first day in office, including this promise at a National Rifle Association event in February.
From day one, we will sack the radical gun grabber, Steve Dettelbach. Did you ever hear of Steve Dettelbach? Do you know who the hell he is?
Steve Dettelbach is the director of the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives. In an interview with NPR, Dettelbach defended the ATF and its work under his leadership and the Biden administration. NPR Justice correspondent Ryan Lucas reports.
When Steve Dettelbach took over as ATF director in July 2022, the nation was reeling from a series of mass shootings that had killed nearly 40 people. The job of getting a grip on the rise in violent crime fell in part to Dettelbach and the ATF. 2 years later, Dettelbach says they've made significant progress.
Since I started ATF, the numbers on violent crime now for 2 years in a row have come down precipitously. And I think this will be, as we finish up this year, a third.
FBI statistics show that in 2023, violent crime fell 3%, including a sharp drop in homicides. The FBI's preliminary figures for the first half of 2024 show violent crime down another 10% compared to the same period the previous year.
So violent crime is dropping precipitously, and I just want to say that doesn't happen by accident.
Dettelbach attributes that drop in part to the work ATF and its partners have done to identify shooters and get them off the streets. The ATF isn't big. It only has around 5,000 employees, about half of whom are special agents. But it's the main agency that enforces federal gun laws, and it's also responsible for regulating the firearm industry, a role that has made it a frequent target of gun rights groups and their supporters on Capitol Hill. Congress cut almost $50 million from ATF's budget for fiscal 2024, and the agency could face steeper cuts next year when Republicans control both houses of Congress.
What we're doing with our partners is working. It is time to double and triple down on success. It is not time to defund success.
Dettelbach says that current cuts to ATF's budget have taken a toll. Deeper ones, he warns, would have a ripple effect.
These are cuts that will be paid for first by ATF agents, second by state and local law enforcement partners who depend on us every day, and then ultimately by the American public who needs our protection from violent crime.
Dettelbach says ATF provided 200,000 real-time leads last year alone to law enforcement across the country to help in gun crime investigations. ATF also provided firearm traces that were crucial in cases big and small, including the mass shooting at a July 4th parade outside Chicago in 2022 and the attempted assassination of then-candidate Donald Trump at a rally in Pennsylvania this July. ATF's ability to turn those leads around quickly would be hampered, he says, if the agency's budget takes another hit.
These are real leads and real cases that will be slowed down.
Under the Biden administration, the ATF also has taken steps on gun control. It's issued a new rule on so-called ghost guns and tightened rules on devices that convert pistols into short-barreled rifles. It's also put in place tighter regulations on unlicensed gun sellers. Trump has vowed to undo at least some of those measures, and it's unclear which, if any, will survive in the incoming administration. What is clear, Dettelbach says, is that despite progress, the country still has a huge problem with gun violence.
Nobody is sitting here saying, certainly not me, problem solved. We have a huge challenge ahead of us and a lot of work left to go.
That work, however, is certain to fall to someone else come January 20th when Trump returns to the White House. Dettelbach says whoever replaces him at ATF, he hopes the individual is confirmed by the Senate, whether that person shares his views on gun policy or not. Dettelbach says the career folks at ATF deserve a director with White House backing who can advocate for and support the agency and its work, the vast majority of which, he says, is non-controversial and helps keep the public safe. Ryan Lucas, NPR News, Washington.
This is All Things Considered on Houston Public Media. My name is Josh Adams. You want less on-air fundraising, so we're going to do it. This campaign is almost over. Just about 36 minutes from now, we'll be calling it quits. We want to end the year as successfully as possible. Please make your donation now. Just go to HoustonPublicMedia.org/donate or call 888-909-0887. My name is Josh Adams. I'm the station manager here at Houston Public Media, and I'm here tonight with Chloe Barcelona.
Your contribution in the next 35 minutes to Houston Public Media supports an organization that gives back to the entire community. We research important stories, provide vital information to you and your neighbors. We keep you safe during emergencies and dangerous weather. We have a lot of that in Houston. Your gift means we can help you take care of our community. Please give at HoustonPublicMedia.org/donate or call 888-909-0887.
We bring you trusted news, but it goes beyond that. We introduce you to others in the community you never would have met otherwise. We offer a space to talk about difficult topics, and we do it in a respectful way, and our reporting helps you make decisions based on your values. We want to give you the information so you can make a decision. There isn't much time to give for this campaign, so you got to make your decision right now. We want to start 2025 on budget, so consider a gift. You can do it at HoustonPublicMedia.org/donate or call 888-909-0887.
Give it the next 34 minutes so we can include your donation in this important fundraiser. Give monthly or make a one-time gift. Donate based on what you heard in 2024. Maybe 50 for stories about the public school system, 20 for an interview you heard with your favorite author, and 200 for our election coverage. It really only takes a few minutes at HoustonPublicMedia.org/donate, or you can call 888-909-0887.
Hey, baby, you better do it quickly. We've only got 32 minutes left in this end-of-year campaign, so we're trying to raise that money to launch into 2025 with grand aplomb. And that means stronger, more vibrant community for you. You can make that happen with your gift right now at HoustonPublicMedia.org/donate, or you can call us 888-909-0887.
A lot of people say $10 a month works well as a brand new donor. Your Giftly month, your monthly gift, is a way to bring back to the community throughout the year, because you'll be supporting journalism that makes a difference no matter when you listen. Sign up to give monthly at HoustonPublicMedia.org/donate or call 888-909-0887.
It's so exciting to be with you during these final minutes of the fundraiser. You can probably hear it in my voice. I love campaign. I love this time of year when I'm able to advocate for the great work that Houston Public Media does in the community and for the community. Your support, it helps us maintain the crucial balance of funding that keeps Houston Public Media vibrant, reliable, and an independent station. Please make your gift at HoustonPublicMedia.org/donate or call 888-909-0887.
Houston Public Media is accessible to everyone, and that's a great reason to give. We don't have a paywall. Our mission is to provide important information to everyone, no matter their ability to donate. That's why it's so important for you to give if you are able to give it right now. Support everyone we do for the community in the next 33 minutes before we end our fundraiser. Please give at HoustonPublicMedia.org/donate or call 888-909-0887.
You know, and as we've been saying, we want to try to keep these campaigns short, but we can only do that when we're successful. That means your donations. HoustonPublicMedia.org is a great way to donate. It's also easy to call us. 888-909-0887. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Doug Lawson, South Region President of Common Spirit Health. As St. Luke's Health recognizes 70 years of providing care for our communities, we remain committed to supporting access to vital information. That's why we support Houston Public Media.
Support comes from Signify Business Cash by Wells Fargo. With this business credit card, cardholders can earn rewards on business purchases with no caps or categories to track. Learn more at wellsfargo.com/signify. Terms apply. Support comes from Alley Theater, presenting A Christmas Carol, the tale of Ebenezer Scrooge and his encounters with the ghosts of Christmas past, present, and future. Now through December 29th. Tickets at alleytheater.org.
Wreck still in your way, westbound 225 at Shaver, eastbound 290 at Mushki, and all main lanes still shut down for an investigation on the eastbound side of I-10, heading in on the Katy Freeway and Highway 6 at 6:30.
Marketplace is supported by the United States Postal Service, offering holiday postage stamps for purchase at more than 40,000 supermarkets, drugstores, office suppliers, and wholesale clubs.
economic growth, a little commercial real estate, and a steak dinner to top it off. From American Public Media, this is Marketplace. In Los Angeles, I'm Kyle Risdall. It is Thursday today. This one is the 19th of December. Good as always to have you along. Remember yesterday when Fed Chair Jay Powell said the economy's in a good place? This is part of what he was talking about. The Bureau of Economic Analysis let it be known this morning that the final update on gross domestic product showed an annual growth rate of 3.1% in the third quarter. That's an upward revision from the last estimate, and it means economic growth actually sped up in July, August, and September compared to the previous 3 months. One driver of that growth? Exports. They were up nearly 10% over the past quarter. Marketplace's Stephanie Hughes gets us going with this look at what we're selling that the rest of the world is buying.
The U.S. exported more of what are called capital goods in the third quarter. These are things that help businesses make other things.
Especially semiconductors and other ICT products, information communication technology, think computers and stuff.
Emily Blanchard studies international economic policy at Dartmouth. She points out that the computing industry is highly dependent on global trade. And while the U.S. does import a lot of computer parts, it exports them too.
The components and the bits and the bobs and the machinery, this is all going in and out, almost like respiration, like breathing.
Blanchard points out that the increase in computer-related goods lines up with an increase in the export of computer-related services.
You sell the machine, but you also sell the engineers who can, fly over and help you set up the product or go and maintain the product.
This export growth might not be sustainable, says Cornell trade policy professor Ishwar Prasad. He says the U.S. economy is doing really well, but other countries are stumbling.
When the rest of the world is in crummy shape, economically speaking, the reality is that they're just not going to be able to buy much stuff or services from the U.S.
Prasad points out that imports also increased in the third quarter, underscoring the U.S. economy's growth.
Especially because a lot of this growth has been driven by consumer demand. We are buying a lot more stuff from the rest of the world.
Those imports could be going up, says Syracuse economics professor Ryan Monarch, as both companies and consumers rush to buy things before anticipated tariffs from the Trump administration.
Let's get it on the boat. Let's make our order. Let's buy our car now before we have to pay more for the parts, right?
Monarch says if more U.S. tariffs are imposed, he expects other countries will impose tariffs on our exports too, making our stuff more expensive, which means they might buy less of what we're selling in the future. I'm Stephanie Hughes for Markets.
More on tariffs coming up a little later in the broadcast. On Wall Street today, the Dow snapped its longest losing streak in 50 years, but just by the hair on its chinny chin. We will have the details when we do the numbers. The Marketplace organized labor macroeconomic word of the day today is leverage. Because just in time for the holiday crunch, Amazon is having some union troubles. Thousands of workers at 7 of the company's fulfillment centers across the country have gone on strike. Amazon does say that it doesn't figure the strike is going to disrupt holiday delivery, so there's that. Meanwhile, though, the company is facing an altogether different problem with its office workforce. Starting in the new year, corporate Amazon employees are supposed to return to the office 5 days a week. But Bloomberg is reporting the retailer is delaying some of those plans because it just doesn't have enough places for those people to go. And Amazon's not alone. Premium office space is once again at a premium, as Marketplace's Matt Leonard reports.
Generally speaking, the office real estate market is still not good. Vacancy rates across all types of office space are around 20%. Higher tier properties are still struggling to find tenants. If your return to office pitch is, hey, you can cosplay Last of Us in this vaguely post-apocalyptic central business district, your employees are going to prefer Zoom. But for some very fancy offices in certain locations, yeah, demand is back.
Fulton Market, west of Chicago, uptown Dallas, downtown Miami.
Thomas LaSalvia is head of commercial real estate at Moody's Analytics. What do those neighborhoods have in common?
They have life. They have restaurants and bars. They have parks. They have walkability.
The era of big companies rapidly shedding office space is just about over, says David Smith at Cushman & Wakefield. as return to office plans finally leave the planning stage.
So now they're looking at their portfolio and saying, okay, we're going to need to expand over the next couple of years as we grow and as we bring people back.
Leasing activity and prices were up this year in elite Class A offices in desirable areas. And it's not just being driven by big tech.
The legal sector has actually been setting records in terms of leasing space the last couple of years.
Smith says that's partly because law firms want young associates to spend more time getting face-to-face mentorship. Thing is, the number of shiny new Class A office buildings under construction is set to decline, which could bring some life back to Class B office buildings, especially those that have made post-pandemic upgrades, says Mike Watts at CBRE.
That would be a fitness center, that would be a conference center, that would be a tenant lounge.
One obstacle, though, even if that fitness center is nicer, you still have to work out in front of your coworkers, which you don't have to do at home. I'm Matt Levin for Marketplace.
Don't know if you saw this yesterday, but the Environmental Protection Agency made some news. It decided to let California and 11 other states ban the sale of new gasoline-powered cars after 2035. The clock, of course, is running on the Biden administration's policies. But as the political fight over the EV sales plays out here, let us turn our eyes to Norway, shall we? Kari Lundgren wrote in Bloomberg the other day about how Norway is oh so very close to the only new cars being sold there being EVs. Kari, welcome to the program. Good to have you on.
Yeah, nice to be speaking with you.
There are so many ways that EVs should not be working in Norway, right? It's cold, there's lots of hills, and yet somehow they've done it. How?
It's been an amazing journey. I mean, if you look back about a decade, there were only 3% of the cars on the road were EVs, and today it's close to 30%, and about a 96% of sales are EVs. So that's been an incredible journey. I think we can, if you're looking back to the sort of the mid-90s, there was actually a homegrown EV. It wasn't the greatest of EVs. It was boxy and awkward. But there were a lot of policies put in place at the time to sort of incentivize that car. Then fast forward, you started seeing other models being made available. And because those incentives had been in place since the mid-90s, they were actually price competitive with fossil fuel models. And that was really key to them taking off in Norway.
When you're driving around Oslo, first of all, do you drive an EV?
I don't actually have a car.
Oh, all right. Okay. All right. All right. Well, when you're walking around Oslo, what does it look like? I mean, are there high powered chargers all over the place and all of that stuff, the infrastructure?
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible. You see just the range of EVs on the road. I mean, all sorts of different Chinese models, Xpengs, Neos, Voyeurs, and then, chargers on pretty much every block of all sorts of different descriptions. Some are from the city, some are, Tesla ones, some are Circle K, like the one I read about in my story.
Circle K?
Yeah, Circle K. They're actually been really pushing EV charging. And it's interesting because initially, the government did subsidize some of the charging network. But now, they don't need to do that anymore because it's actually competitive for companies like Circle K and some of the other oil and gas companies to actually be installing the chargers.
Since you mentioned oil and gas, Norway has a huge reserve, shall we say, of oil and gas, both buried underground, but also the money in the bank. That helps you, right?
Yeah, I think it's an interesting aspect of this because I often get people saying, well, Norway had lots of money, so how is this relevant for the rest of the world? And I think what is important to realize that Norway was a first mover here, and there's always a cost to being a first mover. But that, this was expensive 10 years ago, but now what you're seeing is that the price of the cars has come down a lot. So where the money has helped has been sort of for building some of that infrastructure. These people weren't actually paid to buy an EV. What happened is that through taxation, it was more costly to buy a fossil fuel car. So people naturally chose an EV. But what has happened is that in the tax budget, normally the taxes you would have made off of having, bringing in revenue from fossil fuel car, the registration tax, Norway can forego that because there's this excess of oil wealth.
Right. You do mention in this piece that government policies have been remarkably consistent over the decades, and that has really helped. And obviously I'm thinking here now of what's going on in the States and how we are not consistent in our policies.
Well, it's so interesting. I mean, you mentioned earlier the oil wealth, and if I were to actually say to you, like, what sets Norway apart, I would say that government consensus has been really critical, because, like, you've had left-leaning governments, you've had right-leaning governments, and either way, they've basically kept these policies in place. So all that, like, and it's a small place. I think, there's been a bit of pride that we're a world leader, or Norway's a world, I shouldn't say we, but Norway's a world leader in this. There's something about that as well.
Yeah. We should say here, just on the way out, gas-powered vehicles are still the majority of cars on the road over there, and they're going to be there for a good long while.
Yes, and I think that is actually also has underpinned this policy in some ways, is that people aren't being forced to choose an EV, like they're being incentivized to do so. And if you're a farmer up in some of these valleys, you may have legitimate reasons for why you just don't think an EV makes sense for you, or you may be somebody who just loves driving a fossil fuel car. So I think that's been really also important, in that it takes like the air out of the balloon in terms of the controversy around it. Like, people just are like, oh, I'm going to get a car and it happens to be an EV, and I'm excited about that. It's like one of the guys in one of the shops I went into, and he's like, 5 years ago, it was always a discussion about like, ooh, are you going to buy an EV? That's going to be kind of different. And now it's like the opposite. Oh, you're buying a fossil fuel car? That's kind of different. Why are you doing that? You have to explain yourself, But as you say, there are still fossil fuel cars on the road, and they will be for a while yet.
Kari Lundgren at Bloomberg. Kari, thanks a bunch. Appreciate your time.
No worries. Thanks.
Let's do the numbers. Dow Industrials picked up 15 points today, less than 0.1%, finished at 42,342, did the blue chips. The Nasdaq down 19 points, 10%, 19,372. The S&P 500 gave back 5 points, just shy of 10%, 58.67 there. Micron Technology tumbled 16.2% today after the chip maker issued weaker than expected guidance for its fiscal second quarter. Home builder Lennar gave back 5.2% after posting fourth quarter earnings that missed expectations. The firm said high mortgage rates limited its sales. Toll Brothers off 1.5%. Bonds fell. Yield on the 10-year T-note rose to 4.56%. Take that, Jay Powell. You're listening to Marketplace.
You're also listening to Houston Public Media. This is the final on-air campaign of 2024. We're at the end, folks. Just 18 minutes left. Give now to vote for shorter fundraisers, and make sure this journalism continues as we blast on into 2025. There's not much time left for you to be counted during this important campaign. Just go to HoustonPublicMedia.org/donate or call 888-909-0887. My name is Josh Adams. I am here to guide you through the last 17 minutes of this campaign. I'm doing so with Miss Chloe Barcelona.
This is our last opportunity to raise the money we need to pay for the political analysis, the intimate conversations, and the in-depth investigations in 2025. Your gift is an investment in the journalism you're going to need in the coming months. A gift now is a gift for your future self. Please make your tax-deductible gift at HoustonPublicMedia.org/donate, or you can call 888-909-0887.
As you think about your holiday giving, please know that your donation to Houston Public Media can support the listening of someone else who maybe can't make a donation right now. Make sure that those around you, that's your community, that's your neighborhood, your peeps, whatever you want to call them, make sure they are informed, and you can do it with your generous contribution. You can donate at HoustonPublicMedia.org/donate. You can also call 888-909-0887.
Together, we can give Greater Houston a bigger voice. And we can raise as much as possible in the next about 15 minutes. Important changes are happening in this community, and the world needs to know about them. Your support means we can continue to provide in-depth coverage of local issues and make sure people around the country know how great this city is. Support a strong local newsroom with a gift at HoustonPublicMedia.org/donate, or you can call 888-909-0887.
This holiday season, give a gift of insightful journalism. You can stuff a stocking with information based in fact. You can give 8 nights of gifts in fact with your generous donations. Whatever you want to do, however you want to give, please consider doing so to Houston Public Media. You'll be providing reliable information to everyone in our community. Donate now, and you'll help us reach more people who need news that makes them think, makes them feel, helps them take action. Your action can be to donate. Here's what you got to do. Head on over to HoustonPublicMedia.org/donate or pick up that phone. Stop scrolling, pick up the phone, and call 888-909-0887. Thank you for your gift.
Support comes from members like you and from Signify Business Cash by Wells Fargo. With this business credit card, cardholders can earn rewards on business purchases with no caps or categories to track. Learn more at wellsfargo.com/Signify. Terms apply. And from Visit Galveston, featuring over 50 days of holiday events and activities that blend Galveston's history, family traditions, and the island spirit. More information available at visitgalveston.com. Westbound 225 heading on LaPorte Freeway at Shaver. Still have that wreck with you down to 1 left lane. We'll be backed up to Railroad Street. Eastbound I-10, Katy Freeway, all main lanes and managed lanes shut down for an investigation into a wreck at Highway 6. It happened around 3:30. Here at a standstill from 99 to Grand Parkway and eastbound 290 at Mushkey. That wreck has been cleared. Now it has to unwind from the Grand Parkway as well. 61 degrees at 647.
This is Marketplace. I'm Kai Risdon. If you've been to an Olive Garden lately, or Longhorn Steakhouse, Ruth's Chris Steakhouse, Cheddar's, or the Capitol Grill, Darden Restaurants would like to thank you because they have had a good couple of months. Sales were up 6% in Darden's second quarter, but that is an overall number. At its more casual brands, things were good. At its more fine-ish dining establishments, though, not so. Which, as it turns out most things do, can tell us a little something about this economy. Marketplace's Samantha Fields is on it.
At the Capitol Grill, you can get a filet mignon or a dry-aged New York strip steak for about $60. Or there's always the porcini rubbed bone-in ribeye for $80. At Longhorn Steakhouse, meanwhile, you can get a filet or a New York strip for around $30. These days, Andrew Sharpie at Alex Partners says more people seem to be opting for the latter.
Longhorn, it's a good quality steak in the minds of the consumer at a reasonable price. It's not inexpensive,
but it's not overly expensive either. Sam Hokes at Nation's Restaurant News says 2024 has been a year of people looking for deals and value. And when it comes to eating out,
customers are trading down.
Trading down from fine dining to casual and casual to fast casual.
Casual dining brands, I think, are really benefiting from people who still want a high-quality experience. They still want a great meal, but they don't want to spend as much money.
A lot of companies don't want their employees to spend as much money these days either. And Sharpie at Alex Partners says that has posed another challenge for expensive restaurants.
You know, the business traveler drives a lot of the higher-end, finer dining. And as folks are being told to be mindful of their expenses, that's creating some headwinds in fine dining.
Casual restaurants have another advantage over fancier ones these days, too. Stephen Zagor at Columbia Business School says that's delivery.
Delivery has become a force in restaurants, and you see it much more frequently in more modest-priced restaurants, more casual restaurants, than you do in luxury restaurants.
Because if you're going to spend $60 or $80 on a steak, you probably want the nice tablecloth and the ambiance to go with it. I'm Samantha Fields for Marketplace.
Saw this in a publication called Reinsurance News the other day. Reinsurance, of course, is the industry that insures insurance companies. It's a way for those primary insurers to lay off a bit of their risk in case of big claims. Anyway, Reinsurance News is reporting that a division of Lloyd's over in London, one of the insurance biggies, has launched a new index to track global personal injury awards. And in point of fact, the size of jury awards in personal injury cases here is up quite a bit, as Marketplace's Sabri Benishaw reports.
Paul Gill worked as a mechanic for an oil company in the 70s. He would use gasoline as a cleaning material, came into contact with it a lot.
As a result of his exposure to benzene in the gasoline, as well as from other sources, he developed a blood cancer.
Patrick Weigel is one of Gil's attorneys. Gil had to get a stem cell transplant and go on immunosuppressive drugs.
He developed a secondary colon cancer as a result of the immunosuppressive treatment, and he's currently undergoing chemotherapy.
Gil sued Exxon and won.
And the jury rendered a verdict in his favor for $725 million.
Exxon is appealing. Verdicts like this often fall on insurers, and insurers have a term to describe them: nuclear.
Nuclear verdicts are typically defined by those in the insurance industry as those verdicts which exceed $10 million.
Chad Marzin is a professor of business law at Penn State.
There's also a related term known as a thermonuclear verdict, which involves jury verdicts in excess of $100 million.
The size of such verdicts has been growing. The average compensation awarded by juries for personal injury increased around 250% between 2009 and 2019, according to the Swiss Re Institute. In 2023, there were 89 verdicts of more than $10 million, 27 of them more than $100 million. That's a record, according to Marathon Strategies. This is making insurers increasingly nervous.
Our civil justice system should be predictable, stable, efficient, and these verdicts are not predictable.
Rhonda Hurwitz is Senior Director for the American Property Casualty Insurance Association. She says these mammoth verdicts are often not driven by punitive damages, but rather for compensation for pain and suffering, things that are very hard to quantify.
We're not saying that if there is a legitimate injury, that they shouldn't have their ability to receive compensation.
Matt Webb is Senior Vice President for Legal Reform Policy at the U.S. Chamber of Commerce.
What the concern is, though, is that when you look at verdicts in the nuclear category, there's not really any rational basis for where the numbers are coming from. I mean, literally numbers are being picked out of thin air.
He and insurers argue the rise in nuclear verdicts tracks with ad spending by lawyers and an increase in outside groups funding lawsuits as a form of investment. Others point to rising anti-corporate sentiment. Lawyers counter the high amounts reflect the value juries place on pain and suffering and life. Florida attorney Curry Padgett has won multiple jury awards of well over $100 million.
But our founding fathers guaranteed the right to trial by jury of our peers, because the rich and powerful can't control a jury. It is an expression of the will of the people.
Patrick Weigel, the attorney in the Exxon case, says insurers' concerns are a PR campaign.
So obviously the insurance industry has an interest in trying to do whatever they can to denigrate significant jury verdicts.
But appropriate or not, the growth in massive jury awards has had consequences. Insurers are covering less, and premiums are going up. Dan Murray is with the American Transportation Research Institute. He says trucking has borne the brunt of this, with premiums rising 15, 30, 40% a year in some cases.
Total disconnection between insurance costs and safety data. It's sort of the Wild West out there.
Numerous trucking bankruptcies, he says, cite increasing insurance costs. In New York, I'm Sabri Benishore for Marketplace.
Marketplace is supported by Revenued, providing working capital for businesses whose cash flow is holding them back. Revenued approves businesses based on revenue, not credit, with funds approved and available in a day. More at getrevenued.com. And by Progressive Insurance. On the road and at home, customers can simplify their insurance needs and protect what's important by bundling home and auto with Progressive Insurance. Learn more about Progressive and bundling at progressive.com.
This final note on the way out today: there may or may not be, by the time you hear this, a deal in Congress to avoid a government shutdown that looms tomorrow come midnight. But a word here about something President-elect Trump has injected into the debate: the federal debt limit. Trump said he wants it lifted now, no doubt because his tax plans will call for borrowing trillions more dollars over the next decade or so. And come January, Republicans will be in charge and thus responsible. Trump said in various interviews today he would like to see the debt limit done away with once and for all. That is interesting because regular listeners to this program will know that the debt limit and the accompanying threat of default is used regularly by congressional Republicans as a political weapon. John Buckley, John Gordon, Noya Carr, Diantha Parker, Amanda Peacher, and Stephanie Seek are the Marketplace editing staff. Amir Babawe is the managing editor, and I'm Kai Ryssdal. We will see you tomorrow, everybody. This is APM.
And you're hearing it on Houston Public Media. This is a unique, trusted, and innovative news organization. You guys already know that. You trust what you hear. So please make an important gift to strengthen the impact of this journalism that it has on your life. And do it right now because time really is running out. We need to end this fundraiser in just 4 minutes. Give at HoustonPublicMedia.org/donate, or you can call 888-909-0887. We're closing out the evening. My name is Josh Adams. I'm here with Chloe Barcelona.
We are almost done, but we still have to raise the money it'll take for Houston Public Media to continue the quality, trusted news you expect in 2025. Please give now, because this campaign will be over very soon. We won't be fundraising like this on Friday. Just go to HoustonPublicMedia.org/donate, or you can call 888-909-0887.
You can hear the urgency in Chloe's voice. She wants you to donate. She wants you to take advantage of the last 3 minutes of this campaign. The holiday season is really a great time to give back to the community. Your gift really benefits Greater Houston by making sure everyone around you hears local news, local stories, local voices, local solutions that change their lives. Your December gift will help others learn about our region and the world. Please make a contribution at HoustonPublicMedia.org/donate or call 888-909-0887.
You're the reason that Houston Public Media exists. You're also the biggest source of funding for this amazing independent service. About 80% of Houston Public Media's budget comes from the community. It comes from you guys. That includes people who say, I value Houston Public Media, so I'm going to chip in some money to keep it going. Please do that now at HoustonPublicMedia.org/donate or call 888-909-0887.
When you support Houston Public Media before this campaign ends in just 2 minutes, it's clear you believe a strong, robust news service is absolutely vital in our community. Let's say you give $100 a month or more, you're going to become part of the Studio Society, and you'll show you want to protect unbiased views and counter misinformation for others in the community. You can learn more about the perks of the Studio Society at HoustonPublicMedia.org. You can also make a donation while you're there, or you can call us 888-909-0887.
We want to keep the campaign short, but we can only do that when we're successful. You'll make a huge difference with your gift at HoustonPublicMedia.org/donate or call 888-909-0887.
Your gift this holiday season supports knowledge and information for thousands and thousands of people in 2025. It's like a gift for everyone in Greater Houston. I encourage you to support this station and make that gift right now. HoustonPublicMedia.org/donate, or you can call us to make your year-end gift. 888-909-0887.
It's a minute before 7 on the evening before Friday here on your NPR station, News 87. Eastbound I-10, the Katy Freeway, all main lanes and managed lanes still shut down for a fatal wreck that happened about 3.5 hours ago at a standstill from 99 to Grand Parkway. Coming out of downtown, eastbound I-10, wreck at San Jacinto with only the right shoulder getting through. And westbound 225 at Shaver, wreck has you down to one left lane.
Support comes from Navasota Theater Alliance, presenting Inspecting Carol. It's a Christmas carol meets the government inspector meets Noises Off in this comedy from Seattle. Performances through December 22nd. Tickets at navasotatheater.org.
We'll get down to a low of 47 overnight. Right now it's 61. Here at your NPR station, KUHF Houston, News 88.7, service of the University of Houston. It's 7 o'clock.
industry is now being regulated by people the crypto industry chose. And there's something fundamentally dangerous there. This is a degree of regulatory capture that is really concerning to a lot of people, especially advocates for consumers.
I'm Sabrina Tavernise. That's coming up on The Daily from The New York Times.
The Daily is supported by Bitwarden Password Manager, designed to offer holiday gift givers secure logins while shopping from any device. Available at bitwarden.com. And by BetterHelp, committed to supporting mental health through therapy. Clients are matched with one of 35,000 therapists and can communicate via video, chat, or phone at betterhelp.com/public. And by American Public Media.
Live from NPR News in Washington, I'm Jack Spear. The House has rejected a new last-minute spending plan to avert a government shutdown, with dozens of Republicans joining Democrats in voting against it. The White House blasted it as a, quote, giveaway for billionaires. More from NPR's Asma Holland.
The White House says President Biden supported an earlier version of the plan, a bipartisan deal to keep the government open. That deal was upended on Wednesday by President-elect Donald Trump and his close advisor Elon Musk, who also happens to be the wealthiest person in the world. In a statement, White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre said Republicans are doing the bidding of their billionaire benefactors at the expense of hardworking Americans and breaking their word to support a bipartisan agreement that would lower prescription drug costs and make it harder to offshore jobs to China. If Congress cannot reach a deal, the government will begin shutdown operations at midnight Friday. Asma Khalid, NPR News.
Members of the Teamsters Union at multiple Amazon warehouses across the country have taken to the picket lines. Delivery workers going on strike this morning, demanding better wages and working conditions. The union is calling it the largest strike against the company in U.S. history. Here's Andrea Hsu says it's not clear how long the Teamsters will stay off the job.
The Teamsters say that at some locations the pickets are going to go on all night. Others will take a break and come back in the morning. Beyond that, we don't really know. All the Teamsters have told us is that the strikes would last longer than one day. But the union does clearly recognize that, this is a moment of leverage for workers because lots of people are still hoping to get those last-minute gifts.
Amazon, for its part, has said it doesn't expect the strike to impact operations or holiday shipping. Drivers walked off the job at 3 locations in Southern California and 1 each in New York City, Atlanta, Georgia, and Skokie, Illinois. Amazon is an NPR sponsor. 25 people were executed in the U.S. this year. That's about the same number as last year and close to historic lows. NPR's Martin Costi reports the death penalty is being applied in a narrow slice of the country.
In its annual report, the Death Penalty Information Center found that only 4 states accounted for 3/4 of all executions this year. Those states are Texas, Alabama, Oklahoma, and Missouri. The center's executive director, Robin Marr, says that has made the death penalty less of a national issue.
The death penalty is now a local story, one that plays out according to local laws and at the direction of local officials. So for the residents in a few active states, the death penalty may be an occasional headline, but for most of the rest of the country, the death penalty isn't even on their radar.
This is the 10th year in a row that the total number of people executed by the states has been below 30. Martin Costi, NPR News.
Stocks have stabilized somewhat after yesterday's sell-off, prompted by concerns about the future of Federal Reserve interest rate cuts in the coming year. The Dow was up 15 points. The NASDAQ closed down 19 points. You're listening to NPR. Residents in the upper Midwest are being battered by a fast-moving winter storm, which, along with strong winds, has left snow, ice, and bitter cold in its wake. The weather system snarling traffic in the Twin Cities and forcing officials in North Dakota to shut down an interstate highway. Reports of dangerous driving conditions across parts of the Dakotas, Minnesota, and Wisconsin, with multiple accidents on a stretch of Interstate 94. Up to 7 inches of snow could fall in Minnesota, including the Twin Cities. A former top aide to New York City Mayor Eric Adams has been indicted on bribery charges. Elizabeth Kim from member station WNYC has more.
As chief advisor to the mayor, Ingrid Lewis-Martin was considered the second most powerful person at City Hall. She now joins Adams once again, becoming the second member of the administration to be indicted on corruption charges. Manhattan prosecutors say Louis Martin helped expedite city approvals on a building project in exchange for gifts that included $100,000 that she and her son used to buy a Porsche. Louis Martin has denied any wrongdoing. Meanwhile, Mayor Adams is fighting federal corruption charges. Adams has accused prosecutors of being politically motivated by his criticisms of President Biden's handling of illegal immigration. For NPR News, I'm Elizabeth Kim in New York.
Sales of previously owned homes took a surprising bump up last month. Existing home sales in November growing at their fastest pace since March, rising 4.8% from the previous month. As prospective buyers were encouraged by a wider selection of properties. National Association of Realtors says sales were up sharply from the same month last year. I'm Jack Spear, NPR News in Washington.
Support for NPR comes from NPR stations. Other contributors include the Charles Stewart Mott Foundation, for nearly a century, supporting efforts to promote a just, equitable, and sustainable society. More at mott.org. And the listeners who support this NPR station.
From the New York Times, I'm Sabrina Tavares, and this is The Daily. Since the election of Donald Trump, cryptocurrency has surged to its highest level ever. Today, my colleague David Yaffe-Bellamy on how a small renegade industry that began as a challenge to the financial system ended up on top of it. It's Thursday, December 19th. So, David, now crypto has exploded in value. Is this just another twist in the roller coaster, or is it something bigger? Is this a pivotal moment?
So obviously, it's impossible to predict the future, especially where cryptocurrency is concerned. But it's certainly the case that this new surge in the crypto world is different from ones that we've seen in the past. And let me put this into perspective for you for a second. Bitcoin was created about 15, 16 years ago, essentially out of thin air. It was worth nothing. You know, famously, there was this early experiment to kind of prove how Bitcoin could be used, where a guy went onto an internet forum and said, I'll send 10,000 Bitcoin to somebody, and in exchange, send me $40 worth of pizza. And that exchange happened. And somebody was paid 10,000 Bitcoin for 2 pizzas. Fast forward to this year, and suddenly that is the most expensive dinner in the history of the world.
How much is it now?
Just 1 Bitcoin now is worth over $100,000.
Ooh, so do the math for me.
Actually, wait, what is it? So that's a $1 billion pizza order right
Wow.
there. Yeah. And, you know, this is a 15-year, time horizon. I mean, this isn't like centuries and centuries. If you look at all the Bitcoin in circulation, the total value of those Bitcoin is about $2 trillion. And that's more than the combined worth of MasterCard, Walmart, and JP Morgan Chase. So that just gives you a sense of the scale of this. And, what it essentially shows is that Bitcoin has been one of the most successful financial products of the last 20 years, and that this industry is succeeding, at least in terms of the market, in a way that it hasn't, even in the past, when you've seen headlines about people getting rich from Bitcoin.
Okay, so feels potentially very real. Why has crypto been having this resurgence?
So there are 2 main drivers behind this, and the first one will be familiar to listeners of the show who've followed our coverage over the years. And it all comes back to this obscure court case that played out about a year ago. On one side, you had the crypto industry, which wanted to offer a new investment product that would basically just make it easier for people, regular people, to invest in Bitcoin. On the other side, you had the U.S. government, which wanted to stop that from happening. They didn't want the U.S. investing public to have more exposure to the crypto markets. In that court battle, the crypto industry won. And it was a huge game changer for the industry. It allowed people to have their retirement accounts invested in crypto. sending the price of Bitcoin higher and higher. And federal regulators in Washington were concerned that people would be exposed to the volatility of the crypto world, that their savings could disappear. There were wider concerns about how crypto companies were behaving, whether they were sort of revealing the right type of information to the public about these kind of risky financial assets that they were offering. And what the feds wanted to do was kind of protect the wider economy from the craziness and volatility of this fringe boom and bust crypto world. And the person who was at the center of that effort to kind of protect the U.S. economy was a guy named Gary Gensler, the chair of the Securities and Exchange Commission.
The field is going to have a challenge building trust.
Gensler was essentially trying to kind of partition crypto away from the U.S. economy. And the way that he was doing that was insisting that crypto should be regulated like Wall Street.
He was basically trying to make sure that crypto, which really is this pretty risky thing, that if it were to go belly up, it would not infect the broader economy. So, David, how did the crypto industry respond to that, to all of this that Gensler was doing?
The crypto industry responded with just a torrent of anger. You had basically every crypto executive going on Twitter saying things like Gensler is the devil incarnate. And industry leaders were starting to get organized in a way they'd never been before. They were putting together a political spending machine, raising money in advance of the 2024 election campaign, where the industry would go on to spend huge amounts to support congressional candidates across the country who support crypto, who think that it's a valuable technology that could actually boost the U.S. economy in the long term. And what we ended up seeing in 2024 was a coalition of crypto companies working together really closely and really strategically to pour a huge, honestly unprecedented amount of money into politics. They created a brand new super PAC called Fair Shake, which spent a total of about $130 million in the 2024 campaign cycle, supporting more than 50 congressional candidates around the country. And that amount of spending is one of the most audacious, aggressive spending sprees by any industry in the post-Citizens United era of American politics.
Interesting.
It's a huge deal, not just for crypto, but honestly in the history of money in politics in the United States. And at a high level, the objective was to create the most pro-crypto Congress in U.S. history, to fill seats with people who would advance crypto policy goals. But obviously there were particular races that were especially important. And one great example that kind of crystallizes the stakes of this for the crypto industry was the Ohio Senate race, which pitted Sherrod Brown against Bernie Moreno. The stakes were so high because Sherrod Brown, the incumbent Ohio senator, a longtime Democrat, was chair of the Senate Banking Committee. So you had this kind of powerful anti-crypto figure in the Senate. And his opponent, Bernie Moreno, was sort of the opposite. I mean, a Bitcoin booster who'd actually founded his own crypto company and on the campaign trail, talked relentlessly about how much he loved crypto. The industry spent $40 million on that race, to try to boost Bernie Moreno's candidacy. And Moreno won. Another key race was the Democratic Senate primary in California. The industry spent a huge amount of money trying to tank the candidacy of one of the Democrats running for that slot, Katie Porter. The reason they went after her is because Porter is a close ally of Elizabeth Warren, the liberal Democratic senator who's also been an outspoken critic of crypto. In California, Katie Porter lost, and that sent a really strong message about the power of the crypto industry.
Okay, so they dump all of this money into these congressional races, which, as you and I both know, is the oldest way and the most tried and true way of, shaping political outcomes in the United States, is putting money into politics.
Absolutely. It's the oldest corporate strategy in American history. But it's still a little surprising coming from the crypto industry. But it's evolved significantly over the last 15 years to the point that it's now kind of another big money industry. And in addition to spending all this money on congressional races, they're targeting the most important and influential political figure in the country, and that's Donald Trump.
And David, tell me the deal with Trump and crypto, because my sense from reading your coverage and our colleagues' coverage is that he likes it.
Here we go.
Yeah, Trump didn't say much about crypto in his first term, and on the rare occasions that he did talk about it, he was uniformly negative.
Bitcoin, it just seems like a scam.
In 2021, he called into Fox Business and suggested that Bitcoin was a scam, that it was designed to undermine the US dollar. And toward the end of his first term, the SEC under Trump actually brought one of the very first major enforcement lawsuits against the crypto industry. So that was the kind of Trump first term attitude toward crypto. But then something happened this year in, early to mid 2024 on the campaign trail.
Hello, Bitcoiners. Thank you very much. Hello. It's good to be with you.
Suddenly, he started saying that he loved it. He made a now very famous appearance at the annual Bitcoin conference in Nashville in July, where he said,
Because if we don't do it, China's going to be doing, others are going to be doing it. Let's do it and do it right.
And he promised to turn the U.S. into the crypto capital of the planet.
And the Bitcoin superpower of the world, and we'll get it done.
And he vowed to get rid of Gary Gensler, the kind of arch villain of the crypto world.
On day one, I will fire Gary Gensler and appoint a new SEC chairman. I didn't know he was that unpopular.
But his pivot on crypto, and it's really a transformation on crypto, crystallized this fall when Trump announced that he is starting his own crypto business, which he calls World Liberty Financial. What Trump has said publicly is that it's going to be a crypto platform. It's going to enable people to do things like borrowing and lending with cryptocurrencies. And there's even a new digital currency associated with it called WLFI for World Liberty Financial, and it's available for purchase. You can think of it as the kind of technology equivalent of the Trump Hotel. It's a new avenue for people to get close to Trump, to kind of show their loyalty to Trump, and it poses as clear a conflict of interest as any in the kind of Trump business portfolio.
And why did Trump change?
So Trump himself has given a series of different explanations for it, but the one that he seems to mention most often is that his sons, including Barron, are really interested in crypto and that they're constantly in his ear. But I think it's clear that the sheer amount of money the industry was spending on politics got his attention, and that it also gave crypto executives a level of access to him that they'd never had before, and an ability to try to change his mind. You've got crypto executives donating millions of dollars to the Trump campaign. It becomes this sort of full court press and a kind of industry-wide embrace of the Trump candidacy.
And of course, we know the end of this story, which is that Trump wins the election.
Not only does Trump win, but the candidates that the crypto super PAC supported also overwhelmingly win. The vast majority of them win their races. In total, various crypto groups have proclaimed that hundreds of pro-crypto candidates across the Senate and the House were elected. And they owe a debt of gratitude to the industry. And that sets the crypto industry up in an entirely new way in Washington, giving it just a whole new level of influence.
We'll be right back.
The Daily is supported by Storyworth. Each week, Storyworth emails a loved one a question about their life. After a year, they'll publish family memories into a bound book to keep forever. Learn more at Storyworth.com. And by JLL, committed to finding smarter ways to tackle business goals with commercial real estate solutions, talent retention, hitting sustainability goals, or simply helping find the place for your business to grow. JLL.com. JLL, see a brighter way. Get the story firsthand with The Daily from the New York Times, distributed by American Public Media.
This is News 88.7.
There's more to the story at HoustonPublicMedia.org. From in-depth coverage of issues affecting all Texans to informing you about the latest breaking news, we prioritize exceptional reporting that's always available on your favorite device. Join us daily for political news that puts substance over sensationalism and community news that shines a light on voices across Houston and beyond. Anytime, anywhere, there's always more to the story at HoustonPublicMedia.org.
Support for Houston Public Media comes from Uptown Appliance Repair, now open and ready to service Houston's residential and commercial appliance needs while staying committed to the health and safety of the community. More at uptownappliancerepair.com.
Support comes from the Grand 1894 Opera House, presenting Marvelous, an evening with Marilyn May, the singer who has been entertaining audiences for over 8 decades. Saturday, January 4th at 8 p.m. More at thegrand.com.
David Yaffe Bellany on the record rise of crypto since Donald Trump retook the White House and the remarkable political moment it is now a part of.
Turn left.
Okay, so crypto now has this new level of influence in Washington, as you say. What does that look like exactly?
So there are a couple of key people who are going to have important roles in the Trump administration who are big crypto backers. The first one is a guy named Howard Lutnick.
We are going to welcome Bitcoin into the financing family of the global financial markets, and Cantor Fitzgerald's going to be your sponsor.
Who runs an investment bank called Cantor Fitzgerald. He's run it for many years. And he's a huge Bitcoin booster. And his bank for a long time has had a business relationship with a very important crypto company called Tether. And Lutnick was appointed by Trump as co-chair of the presidential transition team, which is a super important role. He essentially was overseeing the selection of personnel throughout government.
Incredibly powerful role, because in government, personnel is policy. So this is